This is your Senior Moment, brought to you by Senior Guide USA, with your host, Leigh St John.
Hi, this is Leigh St John and our incredible guest today. Now, I don't know if you'll know her name or not. A couple of people said, oh, sounds familiar. But as soon as you mention Buns of Steel, OMG, today we have Tamilee Webb. Welcome, Tamilee.
Hello, you guys. Thanks for having me. I know nobody recognizes Tamilee unless it's followed by Buns of Steel, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mentioned to a couple of people. So the name Tamilee Webb. Oh, it sounds kind of familiar. And I said, what about Buns of Steel? Oh, really? So Tamilee.
And then the next question is, does she still have them?
Oh, well, no. My friends are a little more polite than that.
Okay, good.
So today we're going to be talking about seniors and pets and staying fit together. Now, before we get into that, Tamilee, let's take us back a little bit. How did you get involved in the fitness industry in the first place?
Oh, wow. Of course, it's been many years since I've been in the industry, but I think I was raised in a family with brothers, and my father was a semi-pro baseball player, so sports was always a part of our upbringing. So we were always playing either baseball, basketball, football, it didn't matter what it was. And, of course, at that time, they didn't let girls play, in the Little League.
That's
so
right, yes.
I had to stay fit by trying to prove myself. But as I went on to school, I realized that I really enjoyed helping others, because women would start coming to me and saying, how can I get rid of these thighs, or what can I do for my stomach? And I just love motivating people. So I thought, maybe I'll go in that era. But keeping in mind that around that time, aerobic dance was kind of coming out in the late, or early 80s, and late 70s.
Yes.
So there wasn't necessarily like a career in that. Your career, if you went to school, was phys ed, so you'd become a phys ed instructor. Yes. But fortunately, when I was going through my master's program, they started adding a program, department, exercise science, which was all based on kind of the fitness and science of fitness in the human body. So kind of went through that, and studios started popping up, and that's kind of how I just got into it. And then I went to work at the Golden Door. Do you know the Golden Door?
No.
The Golden Door is a very old, famous resort out in, it's kind of East County of San Diego. People will come there usually a week at a time, and it costs like, I don't know, maybe now it's probably up to $15,000, but it's quite expensive, but it's very exclusive. So a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people go there, and I went there, and I remember my first week there, you become a fitness personal trainer to some of the guests, usually about 3 or 4, and one of mine was Christy Brinkley. I mean, how lucky could I get, right? But and at that time, I had just finished my master's degree, and I thought, well, I know so much, as we all think we do when we graduate. Yes. And boy, did I learn that much more by working there, because it was a different clientele.
Yes.
Life changes, people change, and so now with me being in my 50s compared to when I'm in my 20s and my 30s, it's like you think you're just going to continue on like this forever, right? Not.
Yeah, no.
So I learned so much there, and it was such a privilege to work there. I was there for about 3 years, and then I basically went on my own and started traveling around the world teaching teachers how to teach.
Interesting. And so what led through to the process then of getting into the videos, and how did that all come about?
Well, when I was teaching teachers, I realized that clientele is, although it was fun, it's limited, and I really wanted to help people. And so if I taught, when I was teaching in local clubs, you have a small amount of people that come to your classes. So maybe one of my largest classes was 40 people. But I realized if I could get on television or do video, I could reach thousands of people and help them.
Yes.
And so I just kind of started putting that in the back of my mind, and then thought, okay, if I was going to do a video, what would it look like? And kind of created it in my head and just kept kind of going toward that direction. And as you know, you can manifest things. And
That's right.
so eventually I was asked to do, I don't know if you remember Dr. Art Uleen. He was the medical doctor on the Today Show back in the 80s. And he was putting a video together for new moms and endorsed by ACOG. And so I was referred by another professional, he taught at San Diego State, Dr. Francis, and he recommended me. And so I went there, and that was my first video, which was kind of aerobic dance. It was called Balance Fitness.
Okay.
And it's so funny to go back and look at it now. It's very hilarious. But
hey, it's like looking at photos
so
of us in our high school years. It's like, oh, did I really look like that? Yeah.
Yes. I had these long braids, and it was very interesting. So, needless to say, that was my first. And then I was asked to do ESPN Fitness Pros, and so I did that. And then I went from there to Fit TV. And I really enjoyed being in front of the camera, and it wasn't necessarily as, ooh, look at me being in front of the camera, but I realized I could connect with a lot more people if I could get them, through the lens.
Yes.
And so I really do enjoy that. And now I have over 60 videos, DVDs to my name, and I'm helping mentoring other upcoming fitness people.
Wonderful. And now your passion has extended to very much include pets.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me. Give us the story.
I was raised on a small little farm, and we always had, dogs and cats and pigs and chickens and cattle and horses and I tend to gravitate toward...
She's actually known as Tamilee McDonald. McDonald's farm, yeah.
Yes, I do know how to milk a cow. So I just have a love for animals, and I typically usually have 2 dogs, and I just volunteer a lot with some of the societies, humane societies and the rescues. And recently I had 2 years ago, actually I think it's been 4 now, I had 2 dogs, and one was taken by a coyote, and the other one was blind, and so he so depended on her, and he got so depressed. And so I went to a specialist, and they said, we recommend that you find him another dog that's similar to the one you lost. So I looked online, I looked at the shelters, and I couldn't find anything, and all of a sudden I came across this little tiny dog that looked kind of like my other dog, which was the Lhasa Apso, but big eyes, and it was a rescue, and I called upon it, and they said it is available. She's a tripod. She only has 3 legs, and that didn't bother me. I'm like, well, I have a blind dog, so I'm fine with that. So I adopted her with my blind dog, whose name was Corky, really making sure that he liked her and wanted her, and he did. And 5 months after we adopted her, he then had a kidney failure and passed away. But the time that we had together, she would lead him around with his little leash, hopping around, leading him around. So now it's just her and I, because I travel so much, she goes with me, and I can be giving a lecture, and she'll be sitting on stage, just sitting there waiting, or she goes down and visits people, and she is the easiest, kindest and she's a Shih Tzu, as it turns out. She's a little Shih Tzu. So I'm involved with a company called Muttropolis. And Muttropolis.com is a kind of an upper-scale boutique that you can get online or here in San Diego or in Newport Beach. And so I'm an investor because a friend of mine, it's their company, but I just love animals, of course. And so we started doing some weekend things, and I put together a little workout called pooch camp instead of boot camp. It's
Yes.
pooch camp.
Yes.
And so I would probably have about 7 to 10 women that would come with their dogs, and we would take a walk for about an hour, and we would, we'd walk so far, and then we would stop to do some various things for ourselves or for our dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And here in San Diego, there's lots of fitness type of programs with your animals. There's one called Unleash Your Fitness. So there are quite a bit. A girlfriend of mine does yoga, and what we found
cute.
with yoga, yoga is like we get everybody. They come with their dogs. They have their mat, and when they first come, the dogs are kind of wound up. They're like, ooh, other dogs. They're smelling every high intensity. And as soon as she starts the class and she can get the owners to calm down, then the dogs calm down.
Yes.
So I realized there's really a connection between us and our animals. And if we are worried or hyper or frantic about something, our dogs, our animals, whether they're dogs or cats, they feed off of that energy.
That's exactly right.
And there's a fabulous book called Conversation with Dog. And I tell you, that book has helped me so much. And it's a cute book, but it's a woman that I guess communicates with animals,
right.
And it's to understand them better. And one of my favorites is, so do you like when we kiss all over you? And the dog says, well, we prefer that you lick, but we do understand that you're human. And why do you tear up the house when we leave? And the dog says, because you are anticipating it, and we need a job. And as long as you give us a job and stop worrying about it, then we will be fine. But sometimes we don't do that. Yes. So with people and their pets and exercise, first of all, look at what we're doing to our pets today. One, we're overfeeding them just like we are ourselves. Mm-hmm. Two, we're buying them the fashion bags and putting them in there so they don't have to walk. Or worse yet, let's put them in a stroller.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not opposed to it as long as maybe it's an older dog, and once it's done its little walk and you want to go further and the dog cannot, then you can put it in the stroller. Mm-hmm. I get that. Mm-hmm. My little tripod, whose name is Isabella Cinderella, we call it Izzy.
but of course.
Yes, but of course. She has a backpack. And so we really don't, she doesn't walk, she hops. Mm-hmm. So she hops as long as she can, and then when she gets tired, she lets me know, and then I put her in the backpack, and I continue on the walk, which means I'm going to work a lot harder.
Correct.
So it's a great little workout for both of us because she's getting the exercises that she needs, and then I get even more with the intensity of her on my back with the backpack.
Sounds wonderful.
So, yeah, there's so many wonderful things that you can do with your pets. When it comes to seniors, which I don't know if you've heard this, but, now we call the senior activity seniors that are exercising active aging. That's what it's called now.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like domestic technician. Yeah.
Yeah. It's better than, active senior or something.
Yeah.
Active aging. So we are participating in, but the key is to keep moving. So what I see sometimes is people actually have the wrong pet. So, for instance, if you're not really a person that likes to run, but you just adopted a greyhound, that's probably not a good combination.
Pretty much. So
there's all kinds of dogs. There's dogs who like to swim. There's dogs who like to jump. There's dogs who like to run. There's dogs who like to sit in your lap. So, finding the right pet for you and your lifestyle. So even if they're a lap dog, they still need to use those 4 paws and get out and walk.
Yes.
And walking in itself for seniors is just a really great thing. Whenever you can combine any other activities, and all dogs can hike, most can swim, not all of them, but, some are even skateboarding, they're they're surfing. I mean, here in San Diego, we see it all the time. Dogs out on surfboards and skateboards and you name it.
Yes.
Very, very active.
Yep.
But it's to keep them on a schedule, which keeps you on a schedule. And pretty soon, even though they say dogs can't tell time, they have a sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a sense of, okay, feed me, I want to eat now.
Yes.
And they have a routine. And they kind of get used to that, and which helps put you on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing that is really nice when you start doing exercise with your pet is that it also becomes an obedient time together. You know, taking time to make sure that your dog is walking correctly on a leash, stopping and sitting when, you know, you're doing it. I see so many people that just let their dogs run in front of them, so they have an extended leash, and they're just all over the place. Mm-hmm. And that's fine if you have them under control and they're going to immediately come back to you when you know, need them or want them to. But it's also nice to go to parks that allow animals. And if you have a jumper, so it's a dog that likes to jump, maybe take a ball, a frisbee, anything that allows you to throw the ball. So you're getting the exercise for upper body of tossing the ball. The dog is running, getting the ball or the frisbee, bringing it back. That is interaction. It is just pure love when you're doing that.
Yes.
I'll tell you a little tidbit. Izzy doesn't like dog parks. And I think it's because she only has 3 limbs, and it might have been because she's a rescue, mm-hmm. that maybe she was beat up by some other dogs. So she really doesn't like to go there. But I love dog parks because I just love watching dogs interact, right?
So Izzy sits in the car while Tamilee goes to the dog park.
Yeah, he does. So I go down and my friend goes, yeah, you're not a pedophile, but you're a potophile. Because I just sit there and watch them, and it's just so lovely to see them and how they interact. And a lot of times animals you'll see them, if they're on a leash and they come up to another dog, either they're really nice or they become this protector, kind of standoff, and they start growling. Yeah. But if they were not on that leash, then they typically would not do that. Mm-hmm. It is typically rare. Mm-hmm. But you learn a lot about your pet and yourself when you start interacting with them, getting them on a schedule, getting out there. And then the other thing is nutrition value. A lot of people overfeed their pets because they think that they eat like us. Mm. Well, they don't. I mean, their tummies are much, much smaller than ours, and they need half the food. So I have to be extremely careful with Isabella Cinderella because with 3 paws, if she gets overweight, that's going to cause problems for her because she's out of balance with her front leg because she only had 1.
And they also eat different sorts of food than us.
Yes. And she actually is on a freeze-dry raw food, and she gets vegetables, so either sweet potatoes, some broccoli, maybe a little bit of carrots. But it really, the dry food tends to be high in fat. All the sweets, well, I call them sweets, but the treats, mm-hmm. Are very high in calories. Mm-hmm. So you really kind of have to watch it. And she has gotten 2 pounds overweight. So 2 pounds overweight for a little dog is probably like 10 to 15 pounds for you and I.
That's a lot.
And it's a lot. And for her to lose it, it took us 3 months, but we got her down.
Oh, good.
And she couldn't understand, though, why, well, wait a minute, where's all my food? Where's all my treats? And so she gets me up at the crack of dawn, like, okay, I'm hungry now, feed me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
She doesn't just lounge because she knows her food will be there. She gets me up because she's hungry. But, yeah, it is, it's important to always keep both of yourself hydrated. So if you're going to go out, there's usually a lot of places have water dishes, but you can always take there's great little water things that you can just hook onto your belt or your fanny pack and take with you, because if it's extremely hot, that's another thing. You want to be aware, if you're going to go exercise with your dog, think about the heat that's out there. You don't want to be running on a hot pavement. They will burn their little pads. Grass is great. Now, grass is where the fleas hide out. And anytime there's grass that's moist, that's where the fleas are. And poor little Izzy, she is allergic to fleas. And so whenever she goes through a grass, it's not like they stay on her because I can never find a flea. They bite her and then run.
Yeah.
So we have to be really, really, careful about that.
And
there's just...
Sorry, you mentioned the water thing as well. Just when I was in Charleston just a couple of weeks ago, I loved it that they have water fountains that actually have 3 levels on them. One for for adults, one for children, one for adults, one for children, and one for dogs. I loved that. I actually took a photograph of it and sent that to my friends.
Awesome.
I went, "This is what life should be like."
Absolutely. I love it when they, because Izzy travels so much with me.
Yes.
And, finding a place that accepts dogs and they're really good. Like the Weston, boy, they'll bring in a doggy bed and their bowls and everything. There's so many things that you can do. I always tell people, find stairs, find trails, find, a log, and you can do some tricep dips where your dog takes a sip of water while you're doing your tricep dips and push-ups, and you take a little bit of water and then onward, and then you come to a next stump. You can do some step-ups on it or lunges on it. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. In Pooch Camp, we would come up to a bench, and the ones that had little dogs, I had them put them on their laps, and then they would have to do the tricep dips with their dog on their lap.
Nice.
And all that does is just add more resistance, right?
That's right.
So yeah, it's, go ahead.
No, Tamilee, so to wrap us up, what would be, from your point of view, for the seniors listening to this going, all right, well, I already have my dog, so it's not a matter of choice. I already have them, and what would be the number one tip that you could give to them to really start looking at life differently, to look at their fitness, getting fit and staying fit together?
Look at it as you are your pet's personal trainer.
Oh, I like
You're
that.
their trainer. So if you look at your pet and say, okay, I'm your trainer, and it's time that we go, and let that your pet know, today we're going to go for a walk. And see how far that your pet can go as well as you. And maybe actually your pet can go a lot further than you. So in that case, your pet becomes your trainer.
Love it.
And a lot of times that is the key. Some people will have large dogs and they need exercise, but you may not be getting out there enough. So if you would let them be your personal trainer, then you're both going to stay fit.
I love
it. It is just a matter of getting out there. They just want to walk. But keep in mind, dogs need to smell. That's how they learn things. They need to smell. So typically when you go on a walk, if you're going to go on a walk and your dog is constantly stopping and smelling, don't get frustrated. Let them smell. They need to do that. What you should be doing at that time is you could be doing some, squats. You could be doing anything that's around that you could possibly do. I mean, you could stand on one leg and just try to balance, which is extremely important for seniors because we start losing our balance. And one of that is in our core. You've heard the word core, which is really your abdominals and your low back. And so just standing there while your dog is sniffing and you're trying to balance on one leg. And if you get really good, close your eyes. Close one eye and then 2 eyes and see if you can balance. So there's many things that you can do while your dog is sniffing, but do let them sniff. They do need that.
Absolutely.
I've seen people on bikes, like they'll be on a bike and the dog is running beside them. And it's fine as long as you're safe and it's a big dog that can do that.
Yes.
You don't want to take a little dog where you're just trying to get them some exercise and, you're dragging them along.
And also a big dog that is used to that, because I tried that with one of my Alsatians at one point, and she just could not get the hang of it. It was actually not safe for me either. But Tamilee, we're going to have to wrap it up there, but thank you so much. Now, where can people find more information on the internet?
In my website at TamileeWebb.com, or my Facebook, and it's Tamilee Webb Fitness. You can always You can always send me messages there. And Izzy also has her Facebook, and it's just IZZIE. And so although I don't have a lot on, we call it Paws of Steel.
Love it.
Yet. But we are working on it, and we do have a pilot that we're trying to get out there, and it's through Rescue 2. But I do plan to do more. My goal and dream is to get back on television, but this time it's telling just wonderful, beautiful stories of animals and their owners.
I love it. And that Paws of Steel. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. I think this will be phenomenal. Tamilee, thank you again so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Lisa. Thank you, too.
Have a great day. This is Leigh St John with your Senior Moment, brought to you by SeniorGuideUSA.com. Have a great day.